Everyone's asking how high Bitcoin can go.
Yeah, 150, maybe 200, even 250 this year.
What?
But they're asking the wrong question. The real question is, why is Bitcoin the only crypto asset with a mathematical path to 1 million and beyond?
When Wall Street is 10% of Bitcoin, Bitcoin will be at $1 million a coin, and that means there'll be nearly $20 trillion of not Wall Street money that will be sitting everywhere else in the rest of the world, in the rest of whatever, right? The energy, it's impossible for anybody to take over Bitcoin in a hostile way.
In this video, I'm going to break down why Bitcoin isn't just another coin in the bag. It's actually the main character in the global financial reset. And right now, the script is getting wild. I'm Oceans, this is Beyond Bitcoin. Let's dive in.
Or do you think that there is a pathway to do this faster?
Yeah, I do think there's a pathway. I think the place to start is to use the money that's held by the U.S. Marshals Service because it was asset forfeiture monies in the form of digital assets. That could be the basis for year one of a strategic Bitcoin reserve. And then we can add other currently held assets held in a different form, convert them to Bitcoin and hold them later. So there are certain things that the administration can do using its existing authority and doesn't need legislation to do. But I think it's important eventually to have a legislative framework for a strategic Bitcoin reserve so it can't be undone by future presidents. And my purpose for a strategic Bitcoin reserve is to set it up, have 1 million Bitcoin, 5% of all Bitcoin, hold it for 20 years, and it will eliminate half of the U.S. debt.
Bitcoin is no longer a REPL. It's a nation-state asset. Governments are buying, Wall Street is hoarding, and the biggest asset manager in the world, BlackRock, chose Bitcoin. Not Ethereum, not Solana, not XRP, Bitcoin. And they didn't just file an ETF. Larry Fink calls Bitcoin a flight to safety.
This rally is way beyond the rumor. I think the rally today is about a flight to quality with all the, all the issues around the Israeli war now, global terrorism. And I think there's more people running into a flight to quality, whether that is in treasuries, gold, or crypto, depending on how you think about it. And I believe crypto will play that type of role as a flight to quality.
Bitcoin does not hit 1 million with retail hype. It hits it with nation-state level adoption. Here's what makes Bitcoin untouchable. You can't inflate it, you can't pause it, and you can't negotiate with it. Ethereum had the DAO hack rollback. You remember that? Solana often halts operations like a bad Wi-Fi router. But Bitcoin, it just ticks every 10 minutes like clockwork. In a world where everything's up for negotiation, Bitcoin is the one asset with rules, not rulers.
The one of these that's the most interesting to me, I guess, would be the Clarity Act, specifically because I think the way that it was written grandfathers in certain blockchains and advantages them relative to what would happen if they were launched today. So if you look at the way the legislation was written, it allows technologies like Ethereum and Solana blockchains to be classified as decentralized when they're actually not. And if they were launched today, they would go through a much different process than they're going to go through now that they're being grandfathered in. Now, whether or not this technology ultimately gives these other blockchains enough of a step forward on Bitcoin remains to be seen. It is my perspective that the underlying technology will ultimately win the day. So if you look at these grandfathered in technologies like Ethereum and Solana, they're proof of stake technologies. And what that means is if I have a big stake in the blockchain, I get to say what happens. That's exactly how society works today, and it's not really a technological revolution. What's so different about Bitcoin is the governance of it and its proof of work consensus mechanism. And so we tend to believe that the energy intensivity that's tied to new creation of Bitcoin is a game-changing technology. And so, you can speculate as to why things like Ethereum have had this pop in the past few weeks. That's my perspective, is because this legislation has helped them have a leg up. I don't think in the end of the day they're going to win.
So I guess this would enable
Essentially, the way it all comes together is the government is now saying we are not going to declare certain of these crypto activities to be contrary to regulation as it stands right now. In other words, it's a tacit endorsement that this stuff can exist in this form and can continue to develop. But develop toward what? I really think is that an issue still? Or is it just, hey, Bitcoin, because of all the attributes you mentioned, is a great store of value and can continue to be?
Yeah, well, that's exactly the question. People need to start thinking about what problem these various blockchains solve. And the answer is most of them don't actually solve any real problems except Bitcoin.
Let's talk fiat. The U.S. is running $2 trillion of deficits in peacetime. Global debt, $315 trillion and climbing. I actually wouldn't trust all these statistics. I'm getting them all from ChatGPT, but I digress. As we know, central banks are trapped. They have to print. There's no way out. And guess what? You may not be early to Bitcoin anymore, but you're definitely in time for the collapse. Bitcoin doesn't need to moon. The dollar just has to keep on doing what it's doing. And speaking of being on time for the collapse, are you prepared if the system really breaks? That's where Sat123.com comes in. Sat123.com is the go-to source for sovereignty gear. Sat123.com offers Faraday bags, portable solar generators, off-grid communication tools, and so much more. No fluff, no gimmicks, just the stuff you wish you had before the lights go out. If you're stacking Bitcoin, stack some preparedness too. And right now you can go to sat123.com and use the promo code SIMPLY for 15% off your purchase. That's sat123.com, because sovereignty isn't just financial, it's physical. Let's face it, most cryptos are a startup with a token taped on. They have CEOs, roadmaps, venture capitalists, and backdoors.
Bitcoin is property. Ethereum, everything else in the crypto ecosystem, likely they're all securities, right? Why are they securities? They're controlled by groups of developers. They're issued pursuant to ICOs, initial coin offerings. That makes them a security. If there's a pre-mine and there was a group of individuals that initially control the thing, it makes it security. If if anyone can exercise undue influence, it becomes a security. And technically, if you look at the definition, it's when you're making investment of money, relying upon the efforts of others and expectation of profit, it becomes an investment contract, a security. Okay. The fundamental difference between Bitcoin and Ethereum is Ethereum's monetary policy changes every 6 months. Every few months it changes. There's a difficulty bomb in Ethereum that's been getting pushed back since 2016. They keep pushing it back. When it goes off, it will wipe out, obliterate a $50 billion Ethereum mining industry. Just wipe it out, completely change the protocol, flip everything to proof of stake. They keep putting it off. Okay, that sounds like a group of people exercising influence over the protocol. The thing you need to know about Bitcoin is on Pizza Day, May 22nd, 2010, Bitcoin was trading for a couple of pennies for the first time in 15 months or something like that. The protocol hadn't changed and has not changed. When it was a penny, the protocols were all the same. Today, they're the same exact protocol. There was a war fought over this, the block size war. And the block size war, all of the powerful holders and miners and exchanges wanted to change the protocol and double the block size. It would have changed all the economics of Bitcoin forever, for the next 1,000 years. It would have screwed up the economics of the miners. It would have shifted the balance of power in favor of some holders versus others. That war was lost. The original Bitcoin protocol continued on, and that means it's an unadulterated protocol, and it's shown itself to be resistant to the influence of any group of people. That's what makes it property.
Ethereum has Vitalik, Solana has Solana Labs, XRP has Brad Garlinghouse. Bitcoin, it has no known founder, no company, no exit strategy. If someone can change the rules of the entire ecosystem on a Zoom call, it's not Bitcoin. Let's do the math. 21 million coins, several of which are lost forever. ETFs and publicly traded companies like Strategy are gobbling up supply. Governments haven't even started buying in size yet. And here you are waiting for a pullback? There simply won't be enough Bitcoin to go around when the world wakes up.
Bitcoin securitization and Bitcoin backed, companies effectively buying Bitcoin and not selling it.
Right.
And if you look at that category, it's dominated by MicroStrategy. But if you look at that category, it's like 750,000 Bitcoins or something like that are owned by Bitcoin treasury companies. Project that number forward. Like if you increase the number of Bitcoin treasury companies and you increase their time in market and you increase, let's say, their ability to find additional financing or dilution events because the price of Bitcoin is going up and that's like driving liquidity into these instruments, then they're going to be able to continue to grow at an ever increasing rate the amount of Bitcoin held by those types of vehicles. And so, if 750,000 Bitcoins becomes 3 million Bitcoins or 4 million Bitcoins, like it's going to cause a massive supply shock. And it's like, well, how do you get the Bitcoin out of those companies once it goes in? And so ultimately, like if the sailors of the world can accumulate too much Bitcoin, it doesn't matter if people are rebalancing or not. There's just going to be a massive squeeze on the market, and until those businesses, until sailors want to sell some Bitcoin, like there's no solution for it. I mean, It's absolute scarcity.
So what if you don't just own Bitcoin, but you actually help secure the network and earn it passively? That's what Sazmining lets you do. They set you up with real Bitcoin, mining in facilities powered by 100% renewable energy. You don't need to be tech savvy. You don't need a warehouse or a fan that sounds like a jet engine. Just plug in and start earning real Bitcoin directly to your wallet. Go to Sazmining.com and book a call with one of their expert team members and start mining today. Bitcoin is not another crypto play. It's a peaceful revolution wrapped in math. And as fiat systems unravel, Bitcoin doesn't just stay steady. It becomes the center of gravity. The number 21 million isn't magic. It's verified. And when that math meets the monetary madness that we have today, 1 million a coin doesn't sound that crazy. It sounds inevitable. Anyway, thank you so much for watching this video. I'm Oceans. This is Beyond Bitcoin. If you like what you see and you want to see more, subscribe to the Simply Bitcoin channel. You could just hit that like button below, or you can hit that notification bell and receive updates whenever we're coming out with new content every single day of the week. I think that's it. Until next time.